Hey guys, this is the Auto Enthusiast, and today we're looking at the 2013 BMW X3 xDrive 28i. We're going to do an in-depth review, check out the interior, and take it for a test drive. Stay tuned.
Today we are looking at the 2013 BMW X3 xDrive 28i. This is one of the classiest SUVs out in today's market. The X3 is powered by a 2-liter turbocharged i4 engine. It produces 240 horsepower and 260 pounds-per-feet of torque. It is all-wheel drive, and with a curb weight of 4,194 pounds, the X3 has a 0 to 60 time of 6.2 seconds and a quarter-mile time of 14.8 seconds. It also has a top speed of 127 miles per hour that is governed by a regulator. It gets 21 miles to the gallon in the city and 28 miles to the gallon on the highway. The X3 comes with an 8-speed automatic transmission. Most of the time that I was driving, I was actually at under 2,000 RPMs regardless of how fast I was going, and that's because of the 8-speed automatic transmission. You're able to go into the highway and still be in 7th or 8th gear at only 1,500 RPM. BMW carried a lot of qualities seen in its sedans over to the X3. The rear of the X3 is aggressive, sleek, and professional. It has the classic connected dual-tipped exhaust and has simple yet modern badging. The X3 is an SUV that can fit the needs of all types of consumers. It offers an extremely sporty drive, great safety features, a lot of room, and an aggressive and sleek look. And it has a lot of success in the professional environment. Trunk space in the X3 is actually pretty good. It is a deep and wide trunk. There is also an efficient tool storage under the trunk bed. The back seats had a nice leather wrap and comfortable places to rest your arms, but lacked comfortable seating. The backs of the seats were at a very high incline.
The overall feel of the interior is really nice. I'm really surprised with what BMW's done. I feel like I'm in a sedan when I sit in this car, but I'm actually an SUV. It's very sporty. They've carried a lot of things over, like the gauges. They're slightly different, but overall there's some nice wood finishings. Very comfortable, lots of nice leather, lots of nice stitching. It's a very comfortable interior. I'm very impressed. It's very almost fancy. It's really upscale. It's really kind of high class. It's very professional. It's really what I like to see out of BMWs. The steering wheel in this BMW is really nice. It's a leather wrap, it's got nice stitching, and it's got comfortable holds for the driver. The buttons are nice. They're a little complicated, a little hard to figure out how to use, but overall it's a nice, classy, professional, sporty wheel. The gauges are quite standard. They're kind of sporty, but they're a lot like all German cars. They're a lot like Volkswagens, other BMWs. They're kind of bland, but very to the point. The center console screen in this car is quite nice. It's very wide and large. It's not exactly tall. It's also tucked in under the top dash. The overall features are pretty high quality. The systems work very well. The controls feel quite high quality. The buttons are easy to use. Nothing was really skimped here. BMW did a really good job just making the interior quite nice. There is some nice wood finishing for the whole entire bottom panel. This car does have the new shifter for BMWs. At first, when you first start to use it, it's kind of complicated, but it's really easy to use otherwise. Controls for your screen are here. There's a lot of controls down here. The parking brake is behind in a nice location. And the cup holders are pretty good size. I apologize for the little bit of mess, but for BMWs, they're a pretty good size. Another feature that I didn't mention before is it has this kind of parking assist where it shows you what's around the car. So usually you've got your screen here, sorry for the fast movement, your regular screen. You move down to this parking assist button, you press it, turns on, and then it gives you a look around of what's outside the car. You're able to see there are cameras around the car so you can see what it's like if you're trying to park, parallel park, all that good stuff. So for interior space, it's pretty good. We've got a door here. This is a very large compartment. It's pretty wide. It's very deep. This is great door space. The glove compartment is a little bit small. It has a really high quality interior. This surface is very soft, feels nice, but it doesn't actually have that much room in it. You can see that it just kind of fits the manual and basic stuff. We move over here, there's a space in front of below the actual controls and in front of the dash, and that doesn't make sense. Below the actual controls, and then the center console is actually pretty small. It opens up, you got this space here, and then this opens, and you've got a very small space. The overall, it's okay for an SUV of this stature, but the space isn't that great. So, first off, before I even drive, you know, looking at this car is a little weird. There's a lot of natural light, a lot of kind of just visibility outside. The rear visibility isn't that great. It's actually pretty small. It's a slant window, but out of the side view mirrors and out of the front, I get a lot of visibility. But the one thing that's weird is the hood is kind of oddly shaped. It comes in at a point. It's very visible. Also, the top of the car is very low. It's very in my vision. I feel like I don't have that large of a kind of a front window, but I do have good side visibility. There aren't really blind spots to this car, which is nice. They've done a good job engineering that. Let's take it for a drive. So one thing that I'm going to say is the overall feel of the road. You know, the suspension, we are in the sport suspension, is very tight. You know, you're going to see probably during the driving video, the camera wobbles a little bit. Just because the car moves to really adjust to what happens on the road, which is great. You know, I love it. It's just, you know, it's jostling you as a driver quite a lot. We're coming up to a straightaway here to test out the acceleration. We're gonna slow down here, and here we go. Yeah, this thing does really well. Wow. You know, that didn't shift until about 6,500 RPM. And that's fantastic. It's a quiet car, which I'm quite surprised. You know, a lot of BMWs have a nice exhaust sound, especially their turbos, which are pretty much all of them nowadays. But yeah, that really got up to speed, and it pushed me back into my seat. It's a little more exciting than I thought it would be. It's quite nice. I mentioned earlier that the driving feel was a little kind of jarring, that it kind of moved me around, the car jostled a little too much, but after actually driving it, it's pretty comfortable. And the actual handling and turning, yeah, the pickup's great. The actual handling and turning is a lot like the sedans. You know, you can feel that it's a little bit taller, but you don't actually feel that sideways movement, that body sway, that lean of the car. Especially for an SUV, BMW's done a great job engineering a car that really doesn't have that lean. I feel pretty rooted to the ground. It is a heavy car, you know, but I do feel rooted to the ground, and I still feel nimble. You know, a lot of cars, a lot of muscle cars, you really feel rooted to the ground, and you lose that nimble feeling. In this SUV, which isn't a muscle car, obviously, but it weighs a lot, and I feel rooted to the ground. Acceleration is great. A quick downshift. You know, I said earlier that it doesn't make a lot of noise. It doesn't make a lot of noise from the engine. The exhaust does have a nice kind of performance sound, but the engine is very quiet. One thing I do notice, I've been switching lanes a few times. One thing that is kind of a bother for me is the actual turn indicator. You know, it's not like your standard old indicator where up goes right and then it stays up, and when you're done, if it didn't automatically shut off the turn signal, you can push it down and it will shut it off. It goes back to a center position. It mirrors a lot like the actual shifter knob. But one thing that I've noticed is I want to switch lanes, I push it up to switch lanes, go into the right lane or down into the left lane, and it goes back into that center position, and I turn into the lane and the turn signal doesn't shut off, and I have a hard time figuring out how to get that back off. But other than that, you know, this is a really comfortable ride. I could really see myself spending a lot of time in this, going on road trips. The seats are comfortable. They kind of hug my body nicely. I've got great leg support. And, you know, for an SUV, this is definitely spicing up my daily driving. This is a super fun car to drive. Really tight turning radius. And you just get off and going. there's definitely they didn't skimp on the performance of this SUV. That had to be one of the main kind of focuses. You know, obviously it's an SUV. They want it to be off-road, four-wheel drive, comfortable for the driver. They want it to be attractive for both sexes and ages. But they definitely said to themselves, let's focus on the engine and the drive, because this is one fun car to drive. You know, if you're looking for an SUV, I definitely encourage you checking this one out.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely leave comments and questions below. Let me know what your experience has been with this car. Please subscribe and check out some of our other reviews.